All right, this is my very first recorded testimonial, at least, one-on-one with the client. So I'm excited. It's going to be interview style. So I have my man, Aaron here. He's one of my clients, and we started working together maybe like 2-3 months ago. So before we get into what we do, Aaron, who are you? What do you do? And why should people listen to what we have to say right now?
Right on. Thank you, Dom. So my name is Aaron Vader. My wife and I run a financial firm, and we help people anywhere from life insurance all the way to retirement to putting money in safer places. We do good things for people, and we love what we do. We make great money, but there came a time where we hit some roadblocks, and we needed to push through some of these roadblocks, especially me personally. And so some of the issues that I had, the underlining issues, Dominic was able to get me.
Hold on. We'll get into the good stuff here in a second. Hold on. So okay. I just want you to go in a little bit more. So you do insurance, you do retirement planning, all that. You and your wife do it together, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And how long have you guys been doing it?
It'll be 4 years on the 31st of October.
Awesome. And you guys are out of the Bay Area, right? So if there's somebody out there watching this right now and they're interested in getting some insurance, but also you guys do like team building as well, where you show people how to kind of duplicate what you do and help them make money and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
So is this something that people can only do if they're from like California, or is this something that if people are interested from all over, they could hit you up and you can help them out?
No, we've got agents in different states. We've got clients in Louisiana, South Dakota. We're everywhere. I mean, we can do everything.
You got to get your license in those different places, right?
Exactly.
Awesome.
We can do everything remote.
So I actually used to sell insurance, and I did it for a long time. I did it pretty much for about 10, 11 years. There was a little bit of a gap in there. I did life insurance, and it's a really good business. I mean, you can make a ton of money. The upside is huge. I always made 6 figures. I think there was like maybe one or 2 years out of the 10, 11 years that I did it in the very beginning where I didn't crack 100 grand. So if anybody is out there, you're interested in life insurance, hit up my man, Aaron. It's a great business. I'm telling you, I was in it for a long time. I made a bunch of money. So, and the only reason I stopped doing that is to do what I do now. I was just more passionate about it. And as a matter of fact, I took a huge pay cut in the beginning from, making 10, 12 grand a month to, barely making 3-4 grand a month doing what I do now. And that was when I first started. So it's a great business to be in. So let me ask you, Aaron, so we've known each other since high school, right? And every now and then we'd like run into each other at these random places and whatnot. And then, so you've kind of seen my transformation going from what I was doing before to doing my hypnosis and coaching business, right? So when you first saw that I was doing that, like, what were your thoughts about hypnosis? What were your thoughts going into it? What did you think it was fake? Did you think it was real? What were your thoughts on it?
Honestly, I thought it was super, super interesting. I've always been into stuff like that. So when I saw you getting into that field, already knowing who you are, I mean, we've known each other since high school, so just the credibility of who you already are, you're a good dude. So I was just like, I would love to pick his brain about what he's getting into and see if he can possibly, hypnotize me.
Yeah. That's what everybody wants to know. So the funny thing is, when I first got into it, Aaron would like send me random messages on Instagram and stuff like that, kind of like hinting at it. And usually this is a progression that some people go through, not everybody, but I can tell them like, oh, they're interested in what I do, but maybe there's something that's holding them back, or they're not sure. Maybe they're like, oh, I don't want to spend the money on it, or whatever the hell it is. So I kind of thought, I was like, at some point, because usually I don't ever ask people, hey, do you want to do hypnosis? Like when I first started, I did, but now I just kind of let people come to me. If when they're ready, and they'll let me know, So what was it? You saw the progression, you were interested in it. What got you to finally be like, okay, Dom, how can we jump on a call? Like, how can this help me? Like, what was the deciding factor or the deciding moment where you decided you wanted to reach out?
I had kind of gone through all of my other options. I burned through my other options. Um, books,
Yeah.
right? Audios, even, one-on-one mentorship with, the guy and his wife who basically taught me and my wife what we know. But you know what, even successful people who make millions of dollars can only help you so much, because they only know so much about what's going on, with you, and
Right.
your specialty, right? Their specialty, of course, in our field is,
Right.
retirement and money. So it just, it was really just burning through all of my options, and finally getting to the point where I was just willing to try anything to get past some of the roadblocks that I was seeing. But it wasn't really it wasn't a hard choice. It wasn't like, all right, I guess I'll just pull the trigger. It was just like, oh, okay, well, next up is Dom.
Yeah,
So,
this is the next thing you're gonna try. No,
yeah,
man, and I went through the same thing, man. When I was selling insurance, I was reading freaking books every week. I was listening to all the gurus. I bought all the freaking CD, everything. And what I noticed, I don't know if this is true for you, but what I noticed is that while I was listening to that stuff and reading, and I was driving around listening to hours and hours and hours every single day, I felt all jacked and juiced, and I was like motivated and everything else. My mindset was right. But as soon as I took a day off, 2 days off, 3 days off, I feel like I went right back into my old mindset. And then I had it was constant like an up and down, up and down, up and down effect. Did you
yeah.
find yourself kind of going through that when you're on your personal development journey?
Oh, for sure, for sure. And it's great information. I think it's just it's like school or college, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I think doctors and engineers should go to school, but for the most part, I think school is a pretty big waste of time.
Yeah.
And if you're going to school, you're going to learn stuff out of a book, but there's nothing like real life experience. So I feel like it was kind of like the analogy of school. Like, I was going to school and learning a bunch of things, but didn't know how to apply them.
Right.
So, working with you, I learned how to apply some of those different techniques, and and you came at the right time, or we talked about it at the right time, because I think that if I had done it any sooner, it may have been premature.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No,
with
definitely.
Because I think I learned what I needed to know to come to you and understand what you were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
definitely.
yeah.
So in a minute, I want to talk about that huge win that you got like right after our first thing, but we'll get to that in just a second. And so if you're watching this, I'm telling you guys, you want to listen to this part, because it's literally life changing. So what was it that you felt like were some of the biggest roadblocks that were just holding you back just on a daily basis? What were some of the things you kept coming across you just couldn't overcome?
Uh, well, the biggest one, the number one thing that I came to you for, I was seeking help getting past a lot of angry moments in my life, and just the explosions that I would have, and that I would stay so deeply angry for a long period of time. And basically what you showed me is how to shrink that window of time
Mm-hmm.
for my anger, and you never really get rid of your core issues. It's just
Right.
that you learn how to control them a lot better.
Right. Right.
So that was one of the big ones, was the anger. Another one is to realize when I'm looking at, or when I'm aiming for, to motivation and from motivation,
Right.
which,
Right. Away from and towards, right?
yeah. And so basically not getting motivation from being scared,
Right.
but
Right.
getting
Because we're either
motivation.
motivated to run away from something or we're
Yeah.
motivated to run towards something, right?
Yeah. Cause you're never going to meet your goal if you're running away from something. You're just going to keep
Yeah,
running, and
exactly.
you don't know where you're going. There's no plan. There's no benchmark, so at least when you're when you're looking toward to motivation, you've got something and you can grasp it and you've won. You can stack that as a W, as a win, and you can move on to the next win.
Yeah, no, definitely. The towards and away from motivation is huge. As a matter of fact, I have a video I did on my YouTube channel, so I'm going to leave a link in the description. I might even do a little card thing up here. But yeah, that stuff, that in my personal opinion is the most powerful thing that I'm able to help people with, because once you get rid of that away from motivation, you focus 100% on what you want. It's like the goals you want just manifest at a rapid pace. So speaking of that, okay, so this is what I wanted you to get to. This is the huge win I want to talk about. So what happened after our very first call? You don't have to get into all the details you and I talked about, but what happened literally from the Friday after our first call to that next, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Get whatever you're willing to share on that.
Yeah. So a person on our team, basically, came to us with some business and had some family members and some friends that were looking to, move some money out of the market. They had lost hundreds of thousands of dollars already and didn't want to lose or continuously losing. Right. So, we went and sat down with them and, made some business happen. I think I'm telling you what you're asking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we sat down with them, and what we showed them was they were just like completely amazed. And so they pulled the trigger immediately. We moved almost $2 million in total for all of these people. And along with the other business that we had in our pipeline, because we were making on an average of anywhere from 8 to 12,000 a month
Between the two of you, right?
Between the two of us, right?
Sometimes you were mentioning even sometimes it was even less than that, right? It could be 4 or 5, 6,000. Then sometimes you'd pop and have like a 10 or 12,000, and it kind of was just all over the place.
Yeah, I'd say more so last year. It was below the 10 a lot, and every month it gets a little bit better. But
yeah,
once
you
again,
got your stuff built.
Right. Once we got to a point where we were just sick of having to wait so long to make larger jumps, you know, and so so we were like, man, we need to make more money, and I talked to my wife and I told her, I was like, you know what, I'll do anything to make, to make changes, to change myself, to whatever it takes. Right. So in talking to you, just that law of attraction,
so what happened that very next month, going from making 8, 9, 10 grand? How much you make the month? I think it was July or whatever.
Yeah, so we had already made our, I think it was almost $12,000 in the beginning of the month in July. And so we were like, well, that's our regular, right? And then at the end of the month, literally the very end of the month, we made, I think, something like 36,000 or something like that.
On top of the 12 or in addition to?
On top of the 12. So
48 grand.
I can't do the math in my head, but it was
48 grand.
47
47 grand.
47. Yeah.
So from 8 grand a month, 10 grand a month to freaking $47,000. Literally, it was right after our first call. You ended up signing up those that big deal. And then throughout the call, we ended up doing 4 calls right throughout the month. And literally 4 or 5 months worth of income in a matter of 1 month. Now, be honest with me. Do you think that if we hadn't done that call on that day and you weren't already changing certain things about you, do you think you still would have been able to do that? Or do you think that what we did had a lot to play into it, just with getting rid of certain negative things and allowing those? Because it was literally like a law of attraction story, where just out of nowhere somebody hits you up and then boom, it just becomes like one of the, it was literally like that. So do you feel like if you hadn't done that maybe you would have lost that opportunity, or might not even ever had the opportunity?
I feel like it wouldn't have happened, but I also, on the other side of the spectrum, is telling me that everything happens for a reason. So yeah, it not to sound corny to, I'm sure, most people who watch this, but I'm a very spiritual, very, very faith-based person. I believe God put that in place, and God put you in place, in my life, and
just the right time.
Yeah, the coordination of God and the law of attraction, me going for help, right? Like the universe and God saw that, and they're like, you know what I mean?
All right, here you go. You're willing to
ask and you shall receive,
Right. No, yeah, man. And we won't get into the exact story of what the lady was telling you, but that was like phenomenal. You know, she could tell that you were working on yourself, and
Yeah.
she even mentioned it to you, and you guys had this big old talk. But no, man, that's awesome. And there was something, oh, this is what I want to tell you. So for those of you, so I used to do life insurance, and I did a couple of annuities while I was selling insurance. And I
Right.
can tell, I just saw my grandpa over the weekend. We had our first birthday for my daughter. And so about 5 years ago, I had rolled over, I think he had like 500 grand or something like that. We rolled it over into an annuity. And he said, you know, I haven't been doing annuities for like 2 years. So I haven't really like looked into exactly what's happening. I just know the first couple of years, everything was going good. And he goes, yeah, you know, that annuity, that thing you set me up with, he's like, I made 85 grand last year in freaking profit off of 500 grand, dude.
Yeah.
500 grand, he made 85 grand. And not only that, but right now, while everything's just tanking, everything's just all over the place, like he's not going to lose any money. So the way those things, I know you know this better than I do, but I just want to tell for the people who are watching this, who maybe
Yeah.
like, oh, you know,
Fixed indexed annuities.
Yeah, he had a fixed index. So essentially, when the market goes down, he doesn't lose any money. And when the market goes up, he gets a percentage of the upside. So it's like you can't lose and you can only win. The worst thing that's going to happen is you just don't get anything, right? So he was just like super ecstatic. And, you know, if you can imagine working 60, you know, or 50 years, your whole life, and then having your nest egg put into something like that, it's like literally the best thing somebody can do for themselves. So again, if you are watching this and you're somebody who wants to get into doing what we're talking about, or if you have like, you know, money you want to move or whatever, hit up Aaron. I don't do this stuff anymore, so I'm not the guy for you. So couple more quick things. What was your biggest takeaway or your favorite part about like what we did?
The favorite, so it didn't actually really come. I mean, I enjoyed every moment of it. But it didn't actually hit me until about maybe a month and a half after we were done.
Yeah.
Cause I was going through a period, I was going through a rough period after we were done with our very last session. It was almost like I had been on drugs for years, and I was going through this like withdrawal stage, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just, it was hard, man. It was really hard, but it was like necessary. It was definitely a necessary process that I needed to go through. And I had, for some reason, I mean, I know why, right? But we're not going to get into it, but I was so incredibly just needy for like love and attention and affection from my wife. Right. And you know, bless her heart, she's like the most amazing woman to me in the world. You know, she gave me exactly what I needed. And so I always thank her for that, right? She's got my back. So thank God, you know, I have someone like her, but I was just so like, I was so attached to her, and I hate, like, she would go to the store and I felt like I was going to cry because she was like leaving for an hour or something. But it was weird. It was just like letting go of all that like anger, because I had so much anger, like just rolling through my head all the time, so that I didn't have the capacity or space for those other important emotions, you know, letting my walls down and being more loving, because I'm actually a very loving, affectionate, you know, words of affirmation, you know, touchy-feely person. And I wasn't that way for a long time, because of just the mass amount of just anger I had. And letting that go, man, it was just like, it all came out of the pipeline like all at once. And it was just like, it was a storm. And I remember messaging you, and I'm like, dude, I'm having a rough time. And you're like, it's normal, you're fine, like give it a few weeks and you'll feel better. And I felt like it was never going to end. But it was just, I think, toward the end of it took like 2 or 3 days where I just kind of like tapered off of it. And then I felt fine. And I feel amazing, you know, and just, you know what I mean? And I, don't get me wrong, I still get angry. Just like an hour ago, I like slammed the door because I was pissed off at something, but I got over it so fast.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is like, when you take all the learnings and we reprogram your mind, when those events happen, sadness, fear, whatever, instead of the old programming, which is like flip out, be mad, everybody, you know, cause a scene, it's like you get that little bit of moment, and then all the learnings come in. Okay, calm down, relax. You know, you make better decisions when you're calm. It's going to help you be successful just by letting it go, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, boom, and then it disappears, right? So yeah, and this is how, like, this is sort of how it happens. When people come to me, they're like, say like right here, right? And then we let go of all these crazy beliefs and emotions that they've been holding on to for their whole life. And they've never felt anything like it before. So it's like, boom, they get this huge pop and like energy and emotions and feeling. And it's just like, oh my God. Like, I remember when I went through this process, it was literally one of the best feelings I ever had in my life. Or the best feeling I ever had in my life. I remember I just had like energy pouring out of my heart. And I was just like, oh my God, I felt like just ecstatic and excited. Like I could do anything in the world. And then what happens is you kind of hit that pop and then it drops off. So it tapers off a little bit. So during that tapering off period, people feel like, oh, you know, I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. But it's not that. It's just that you shot up so high, so quick. It's like your body and everything starts to even itself out. And then you kind of go back to normal. But the difference is that normal before was way down here, whereas opposed to normal now is like at this higher level. And then as you go through and you keep working on yourself, it's like the same thing. You get these little pops, it levels out, you get these little pops. But then you look back and you go, oh my God, like 6 months ago, I was doing this, I was thinking this, da, 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 da. And you look at how much you've grown and you can see the you know, the growth there. So good, man. Well, any last thoughts before we get off the call? Let people know where they can find you if they want to look you up, wherever, whatever information you want to give them. What are your last thoughts and where can they find you?
Yeah. So a couple thoughts about you and I before I get into that. Was just an amazing experience to be able to work through this with you. You know, now being a client of yours, and a friend as well, you've helped me get somewhere where I could not get by myself. But just to let anybody know, if they are going to choose your services, is to just be patient with yourself and to allow it to ripple into the next like 6 months of your life after it's over, instead of just expecting it to work like right away. Like I'm still feeling the effects of what you've done for me. New things every single month. Like this past month, I've felt more in tune with who I used to be as far as being like a cheerful giver, you know, because I had a hard time giving for a while because I wanted to hold on to everything because I was so scarce, right? And
that's that negative motivation.
And now I just want to give. I just want to give so much, and it's very emotional for me. Like I just bought this shirt. You know, I won't go into it, but I didn't even want it, but I just knew that I needed to give back to the organization that I bought it from. So just be patient with yourself because it's going to ripple. It's like a drum. Like you hear it and the drum goes boo and it keeps rippling. That's those sound waves. They keep rippling. So it's going to find its way through the next like 6, 7, 8 months, you know, maybe a year into the next, you know.
Yeah. And this is literally like something, you know, beliefs that we have, we're not good enough, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, worried about what other people are going to think. Like those are things that hold us back from truly being who we are. So it's like, once you go through and you get rid of all that stuff, this literally affects you for the rest of your life. Not to say you never have to work on yourself again, or you don't have to like constantly look for improvement, but getting rid of even just one belief, I'm not good enough. Like think about how much having that, or getting rid of your anxiety, how much that opens up your life. I mean, just think about going from where you were making what you were making and then hitting almost $50,000 a month. How much more, like, what did that open up your world to? I mean, that's just traveling and, like you said, giving and you know, just like, it just literally completely changes your life 180 degrees. And it's great. And, you know, it's not all about money and that and this and that and this and that. Money is just a measurement of, you know, of your progress. But it's just, you know, it's interesting to go from like kind of struggling, going through, and then just pop. And then now it's like your whole life is at a whole different level. You're what you're willing to accept. Like I'm assuming you don't ever want to have a $10,000 month again, right?
No.
It's like,
And we actually, so we had so we emptied everything out, right? And we actually had a $10,000 month in August, and it was,
I'm assuming you probably took some time off and you kind of relaxed a little.
we kind of rested on our laurels a little bit, and we were focusing more on some other stuff. But we also were focusing on building different areas of our business too, and not so much in production to make money personally for ourselves. So it was kind of an expected $10,000 month, because we were like, okay, we have a little bit of money to rest on. Let's build areas in our business while we can.
It's hard to do both at the same time, man. I know
it is.
I remember those days of trying to recruit and trying to personally produce.
Yeah.
You run yourself thin, and then you really just end up having like not really good in any area. And what I noticed is like when I just decided to personally produce only, I was able to build up a healthy bank account, healthy savings, so where I could like do other stuff, right? And that's probably what you guys are going through. But in that process, my personal production took a hit. So I went from making 15, 16,000, like when I was really hitting high, to just barely making like 8, 9, 10 grand. But then it would happen for a couple months, and then you kind of go back to normal, and then above that. And I'm actually in the process of that right now, like taking time away from working with my one-on-one clients so I could build my online programs and stuff like that. And it's just, I have to take that time away to be able to invest my time into that, so that later on, I can have that residual or passive income. So I'm sure it's the same for you guys. So
yeah,
but man, that's awesome, man.
Letting go of the good so you can get the great,
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, making 25 grand a month, and then you're like, okay, I got to cut back a little bit, and then, but I'm only, cut back, and then it'll be like 15 for a month or two, and then it'll like pop to like 30 or 40, So that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
cool, man. So where can these people find you? Whatever, your Instagram, what do you want to throw out there?
Yeah. So I have my Instagram. I use that, to be honest, like more for fun and stuff like that. I post my opinions quite a bit. But my wife's Instagram is a little bit more on the marketing side for our business. And so you could find us on Instagram, but for the most part, if you want to get in direct contact with us, I honestly would just text us or call us. So
Okay, cool.
my number is 408-710-6144. And then if you message me or call me or whatever, I will direct you to my wife, because she takes all the appointments and stuff like that. And so once again, that's 408-710-6144. And
what's your Instagram, in case people want to go on there and see what you're all
so
about?
It's my first name _ last name.
So how do you spell that?
Aaron, Aaron _ Vaden, V as in Victor, Aden. And so
cool, man.
You can find me pretty much on both. But yeah, we're here, to help as many people as we possibly can. I know a lot of people are kind of scared to make that step, but it's a necessary step to take, especially when it comes to, wanting a decent retirement. So, we can help with that.
Or even a good career, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. If you're interested in changing what you've got going on right now, or you're
even like the side thing, right? Because they don't have to completely quit their career. They can just start off, dabble with it on the side, build it up, and then go full time. Or some people might just want to jump right in. Everybody's different, right?
Yeah, true. That's actually a good point. There's most of the people who come and work with us still keep their jobs. Sometimes they keep full-time jobs, and then they work with us part-time. And then when they start making money, or they learn how to start making money, they make their job part-time and they make this full-time. And that's that kind of slow transition into doing, our business completely full-time. And I know you're probably thinking like, oh, that sounds like a, multi-level marketing role. Like, just know that we've been doing this for 4 years. We pay our bills, we take vacations, right? We take care of my dad. We take care of.
I'll make a comment on that, because I've been recruited before when I was super young to do multi-level marketing, and the difference between that and insurance, and I'm just telling you from straight up experience, it's similar in the fact that like you recruit people, you teach them things, and you get a small override, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is from like multi-level marketing, how you're thinking about it. Well, there's a couple things. Number one, the insurance business is heavily regulated. So like, you know, you have to get FBI fingerprinted, you got to do background check. So everything's all legit. Like you got to, there's a full-on department of insurance, and MLMs, anybody can start an MLM, anybody can do it, right? The other thing is with MLMs, like from what I've noticed is it takes people forever to just even make $1,000, $10,000 or whatever. And the people who are making the money are the guys who are at the very, very top, who got in it right like in the beginning or have been doing it forever. With insurance, you could literally go from 0 to making 1,000, 2,000, fucking 5,000, whatever, within your first week. Like I used to train people and they would do it all the time. So it's just different, the aspect of like it's a real legit business that's regulated, that pays commissions. The companies that you're working with have been around for, you know, 50, 60, 100 years, 120 years. So it's not like your typical sham company that's just like, oh, sell this and then recruit people and they sell and then you just build up this thing. It's not like that at all. So no, this is, you know, insurance is a legit career. And the cool thing about insurance too is that when you sell policies, like I still get paid every month. I don't even like ever pay attention to it, but you know, I get paid every month from residual policies that I sold years ago. Residual, residual and stuff. So, well, cool, man. Well, Aaron, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. This is my first call, so we popped